My mom explained why she's always been partial to my sister. Okay, so I, 17M, have a twin sister, and if I'm being honest, our mom has always seemed more partial to her. She's always far quicker to give her hugs and compliments, and she seems a bit more emotionally distant to me. I've noticed it my whole life and I've tried not to let it bother me, but things finally came to a head recently. I don't really want to get into the inciting incident that started this. Long story short, we've been looking at colleges and I was upset because it seemed like she wanted my sister to stay local more than she wanted me to, and I told her she loved my sister more than me our whole lives and she didn't give a shit about me, and I'm still not sure why. Today she came in my room and asked if we could talk, and she said there's something she felt it was time to tell me. Then she opened up about her childhood, something she's never done, and explained that her father abused her sexually and she had brothers who abused her too, and it instilled a deep disdain towards men in her. She told me she's been meaning to go to therapy and get help, but she told me it breaks her heart that she ever made me feel like she loved me less than my sister, and she's been trying my whole life to get the fuck over it and grow up, and that it breaks her heart that I haven't had the mom I deserve. She started crying and I hugged her and told her I loved her and she was a great mom and I was lucky to have her. Afterwards I suggested we go out to dinner, just the two of us, and I could pay, and she said she'd take me up on that under the condition she'd pay. So we had a really nice dinner and we talked, and I felt I connected with her in a way I hadn't before. I can't really explain it, but I felt like I saw her and she saw me in a different, but good, way. Overall, gonna be honest, I feel terrible because I feel like I made her trauma all about me. She's a wonderful person and I don't know why I'd accuse her of not loving me like she loves my sister. Alls I know is that I'm gonna be better to her and understand she's doing her best, as we all are. That's all. Just figured I'd share somewhere. Edit. Okay, yes, my mom has been making mistakes with not getting treatment and how she's been more partial to my sister than me. However, that doesn't mean she's a horrible mother like a bunch of comments are insinuating. She's a human being in pain and she was able to admit when she did something wrong, and just so everyone knows, she did make some calls and has an intake therapy appointment on Wednesday. If I made my mother sound like she hated me or was blatantly awful to me, she doesn't and she isn't. I love her and she loves me and we're going to do better from now on. Sharp comments. This seems like an excuse. She has disdain for men, but seems to have had married your father and had sex with him enough to make kids. I'd be less forgiving towards her than you have been, to be honest. She kinda ruined your childhood. And now is playing the woe is me card. OP, she didn't marry my father. Hell, I've never even met my father. I know it is late, but I am glad you are talking openly now. It will lead to a wonderful adult relationship if it continues. As a parent, there is a lot of guilt in not getting the treatment you need and seeing it come out as baggage in your kids. I do hope she gets therapy for her trauma. On another note, you may want to go to therapy as well, maybe with your mom, because you have not experienced physical love and it could be impactful on how you interact with your kids when / if the time comes. I didn't get physical love from my father because he was also sexually abused, and as a result, I don't like being touched by people outside of my immediate family, my kids and wife. Maybe it's nothing for you, but keep your eye on it in the future in your familial relationships. Best wishes. Update. She goes to therapy on Monday afternoons and I've been going with her to her sessions and we get dinner afterwards. To be honest, the main reason I started going with her to make sure she goes, and that's been going well. She walked out of one session crying this month, but that's just how it goes sometimes. I've also been seeing eye to eye with my mom in a way I never have, and I've even been getting along better with my sister, who she also ended up telling about her childhood, and my sister has been insanely compassionate towards both me and our mom and sometimes will intentionally leave my mother and I alone so we can bond. And don't make any mistake, she is trying her damnedest to connect with me. She's been asking me questions about my hobbies and engaging in them with me, and I do believe she's a great mom. I'll close this out with an uplifting story from a few nights ago. So my sister and I watched some TV together and were up late, so we started heading to bed but heard our mom in her bed crying. We looked at each other and neither of us knew why she was crying, but I know she's been in pain, so I went inside and without saying anything lied down her bed next to her. She stopped crying and seemed surprised, but then my sister came into the room and also without saying a word got into the bed next to us. My mom started crying again, a good cry this time, and gave us both a hug and said, "I love you guys," and the three of us all went to sleep together. It genuinely made me feel like my sister and I were little kids again. Obviously we had a lot less space than we did back then and were packed tightly together, haha. But it was wonderful and reminded me of the old days when we'd all fall asleep together. Best comment. I'm not smart enough for some of the big schools like my sister is, one of the reasons I thought my mom loved her more than me, and TBH I've come to realize that goddamn community college is seriously underutilized, so I'm probably gonna stay local. Also, a lot of the stuff I love relating to my hobbies is here, so that makes it a pretty appealing option. Best comment 2. Community college is a great opportunity. My child's grades through high school were average. They enrolled in community college. After 2 years they decided school is cool. With 2 associate's degrees earned, they were accepted and enrolled in a state college, close to home. Bachelor's degree acquired. Now after applying for a master's program, they've been accepted by 13 different schools. So you never know, OP. Please don't think that you're not smart enough, Some folks take a little longer to connect all the dots of life and receive what school offers. Also, good on you for sticking with your hobbies. Update 2. This one's not as happy. Ever since I first confronted her about it, I've had this sense of resentment towards her I'd been trying to compartmentalize and deal with later, or at least in my own therapy sessions. As of late it's been getting harder to ignore them, and over the weekend I lost my temper and yelled at her asking why she thought it was okay to wait so long to get help and how she probably wouldn't have done anything if I didn't call her out for her bullshit. She heard me out and started to cry and said the only thing she can say is I'm right and I've always deserved a mom who would outwardly love me as much as my sister, and it breaks her heart I didn't get that mother, and all she can say is she's sorry and hopes I can forgive her someday. I didn't say anything in return and just left the house. I haven't confronted her since, and I know she feels bad and the shitty part of me feels good about that, but I know she needs all the support she can get, so it's just a shitty situation all around. Warm comment. Have you had the chance to talk to someone about it? I think this is something you'll feel for a long time. If you don't talk to someone about it, it might affect other parts of your life. But yeah, I'm seeing a therapist. Warm comment 2. She needs to end the pity party and start supporting the son she has neglected all this time and not keep doing the same thing. Opaque part of me wants to agree with you, but she is in a lot of pain. Update 3. My mother, my sister, and I have been seeing our own individual therapists, and we've had several group sessions together. So today my sister is away at college and I stayed local and go to community college. Something I mentioned in my old post was my mom was pushing me to go away to school and encouraging my sister to stay local. Funny how that happens. Anyway, my sister is coming back home this week for the holidays, but I've honestly really enjoyed it here with my mom. She's been making an effort lately to engage with me with the things like passionate about, and I'm a big movie fan, so I've been showing her my favorite movies over the past few months. She's made an insane amount of progress as well, and I'm so proud of her, and we have a wonderful relationship. It certainly wasn't always pretty over the past year, and even though the work isn't always easy, the payoff is certainly worth it. Best comment. I am happy that your life and your relationships are improving, but I can't help but to feel that if a future parent has that much baggage, they should resolve it before having children or refrain from having them. It is unfair to the child. Best comment. God, this poor kid. He is so positive. From the looks of the comments, a lot of people are focused on how neglected he was during his childhood, which is absolutely not okay at all, whereas he is trying to move forward and build a relationship with his mom, and it looks like she is trying too. It's so tough to strike the balance between expressing grief and sadness about how you have been let down in the past while trying not to let that take over your whole life.